Hello everybody, Crypto Chaperone here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about a few things. I'm going to talk to you guys about the market, the cryptocurrency market. As we can see, we've got a lot of green. I'm going to talk to you guys about why some of our price spikes are going up massively on some news that's happening today, and I'm going to tell you guys about some news that's happening in the future, how to grab onto that and how to make some profits out of that, as well as why a $16,000 or potentially almost a $17,000 now Bitcoin isn't going to be that much to really invest in when you look at why I think in 2 years Bitcoin's going to be $100,000. So that's going to be about an $83,000 profit you could potentially make if you buy a Bitcoin now. So if you guys want to see my opinions on why I think Bitcoin's going to go to that or see anything else, stay tuned for this video. But if you haven't, subscribe to my channel and like this video, and I hope you guys really enjoy this. Okay, so if we get into our markets today, we've got our market cap sitting at a nice healthy $451 billion. Now, every time that I seem to reload this page, it goes up by another $1 billion. It was down at like $457 billion like 20 minutes ago. And we're continuously growing up. And Bitcoin is growing up in price too as well. You also want to take into consideration that Bitcoin's price is going to be seeing some fluctuations over the next week to two, just based on the whole futures news that is going on and the futures trading that is taking place. Now, today is the first business day that futures are taking place on the Chicago Board Options Exchange. Yesterday, they did begin trading, which was the 10th, but it was also a Sunday. So today is going to be the first actual business day. So if anybody didn't have money in through their broker or whatnot, today will be the first day that they can really pull it from their bank and put it in if they didn't have their money in yet. Today, it's looking like Bitcoin's doing a nice, healthy grow. But you also want to take into consideration that people are going to be betting on the long time price and the short time price of Bitcoin. You're going to see Bitcoin potentially move a lot based on what people are really betting the price is going to be, what a lot of this institutional money is putting their money on for Bitcoin to be, as well as a lot of conspiracies about people who could have potentially grabbed a lot of Bitcoin, these investors and bankers and whatnot, and they could fluctuate Bitcoin's price to match whatever their bids are going to be for the Bitcoin futures. And as soon as they fluctuate the price to whatever they want it to be, they could sell their Bitcoin or they could buy back Bitcoin to whatever they want because it would have been less than what they sold it as. They could sell their futures and they could make their profit from their Bitcoin and their futures. So they could be pulling profit from two ways. So if you are investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, you're going to see a lot of fluctuations as you have for pretty much this whole year. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have been fluctuating and on these very volatile spikes. But it's going to continue into 2018. So if you guys are on for the long run to hold, don't feel too crazy when your cryptocurrencies are hitting all-time highs like they were at 20,000 and then dropping down 25%, 30% like it did. And you didn't sell or take advantage of it, because it's going to recover, it's going to go back up to that, and it's going to go even higher. Now, if we look at some of our other coins today, Litecoin sitting on our number 5, and it is spiked up to almost $200, but it is back down to $192. I think it was up to about $199, $198 on here as an all average exchange price. But the reason for Litecoin booming is actually because Charlie Lee today had a Squawk Box interview on CNBC. Now, if you've been paying attention to Bitcoin, which I'm sure if you know about cryptocurrencies or you're watching this video, you have, Bitcoin shot up massively because of all the news that it was going to be traded on the futures market. And after that happened, Bitcoin started to be picked up in the media a lot. And a lot of everyday people started looking at Bitcoin. And they start talking about how Bitcoin's had all these massive grows this year. They talk about how Bitcoin was down in the $1,000 range and all that. And you could have bought and made 16 times your money. That's going to get a lot of people looking into these other cryptocurrencies. And if you just throw out a cryptocurrency, another cryptocurrency in the limelight, like Litecoin, and it's only at $200, you're going to have a lot of people that just start blindly buying into Litecoin. So I think that's kind of what happened, and that's kind of why we had this spike that we had so suddenly in Litecoin. But that's pretty much the news that's tied to that. So if you did buy into Litecoin the other day when it did see its initial spike, right about in this area was the time that Charlie Lee actually did talk about doing the interview with CNBC. So a lot of people were buying on the news right there. Now, you are supposed to buy in the rumor, sell in the news, but I mean, you can't really sell in the news until I guess it's on the news, I guess. So they bought on the rumor of it, and then they sold on the news today because it's on the news. I guess that would be the way it would work. So we're going to keep going down and we're going to look at Stratis coin. Now, I did tell everybody in a couple videos ago, as well as in my Telegram channel. If you are not a member of my Telegram channel, you can join that down in the description below. I have the link for that. I was talking about how Stratis is going to be releasing its Breeze wallet, and it has a masternode release as well as an alpha release coming up all within a week. And I think the Breeze wallet was potentially maybe released yesterday or 2 days ago. And then we have the masternode release coming up, I think, on maybe the 13th or the 15th, and then the alpha release or whatever. And that is a lot of news in a short amount of time. And that is why we've been seeing these big price fluctuations in Stratis coin. It was actually sitting at around, I think, $9, $8 when I told people to buy into it. And then it shot up to about $11.50, and I think I sold mine a little over $11, and then it dropped down to $7. Now, if I would have been paying attention to it or wanted to take advantage of it, I would have bought back in, and you could have bought back in it. I think it was like $7.20 was one of the prices I saw. I don't know if it went much lower than that, but you could have bought back in at $7.20, and now it is back up to $11.41. So if you would have been riding those two waves, you would have been able to make a decent amount of profit. Now, that would have been just led to you by the news. There's nothing more that could have happened than the news and staying up to date on the news. And if you would have invested on the news as soon as you found out about it, you would have been able to make a decent amount of profit. And that's why I continue to try to bring these things to you guys and try to keep you updated on everything that's going to happen. So that's why I'm going to talk about some things that could potentially have some news coming up for them in terms of tokens. The first one I'm going to talk about is OmiseGo. Now, I talk about OmiseGo a lot because they're working with Asian McDonald's in becoming a payment processor for people to be able to go into a McDonald's. Well, you'd have to be in Asia, but you would be able to pay with a cryptocurrency at the McDonald's, and then the McDonald's would actually be able to pick what cryptocurrency or whatever they would want to be paid in. So OmiseGo is kind of the middleman. So I could go in, pay with Ethereum, and the McDonald's could opt to receive Bitcoin from that payment. So it would be transferred and converted instantly through the OmiseGo platform, and they would receive their Bitcoin. This could be a huge thing because fast food and McDonald's alone is a very big business over in Asia. And as soon as this is implemented and they start to move into more digital currencies, this is going to grow massively. The news behind OmiseGo that I actually want to talk about is that it is going to be released on a Korean exchange on December 12th. Now, it is December 11th today, and you also have to remember that Korea, I think, sits about 12 to 14 hours ahead of the United States. You just want to look up the time, more or less. So that means when you're going to sleep tonight, potentially this coin could boom, or that is kind of when it is going to be getting listed on the exchange. Now, if you've been paying attention to any coins that get listed on a Korean exchange, they have a price spike that goes up decently well after they get listed on it. The Korean exchanges really love to eat up these coins as soon as they get listed on them. They really like the top 10 coins, but a coin like OmiseGo has so much future development in it, they could potentially eat that up a lot as well too. So I moved a good amount of funds into OmiseGo a while ago, but I also put a little bit more into it now because I do see a little bit of a spike coming up and a way to make a little bit of a profit off of this quick news. So I think that there is a lot of room for OmiseGo to grow in the next year and even more years to come. So now I'm going to get into why $16,000 for a Bitcoin might not be so much to invest right now when you could be potentially making $84,000 plus on that investment if you hold it for maybe 2 years. I think personally Bitcoin is going to go to over $100,000 within the next 2 years. So this is the end of 2017 right now, and I think potentially maybe even by the beginning to first quarter of 2019 we might even see it hit very close to $100,000. But I think in the year 2019, we will definitely see Bitcoin hit $100,000. If not once, it might hit it and sustain a level of $100,000. And the reason for this is that Bitcoin has some very major additions coming to it. Now, if you've been paying attention to cryptocurrencies or anything in general, you more or less invest in different cryptocurrencies because they have different things they offer you. If you invest in Bitcoin, Bitcoin to me was kind of the king cryptocurrency. It was the first one, and it's kind of the backbone, the leader of all the cryptocurrencies. So I personally think that Bitcoin is going to be the cryptocurrency that comes out the most profitable and the most stable of them all. Ethereum, if you've been looking ever into Ethereum is more of a contract-based platform where you can build contracts on it, and you have all these companies that are starting on the Ethereum and the ERC20 network because that is something that is able to happen to it. So that is why you see Ethereum up in these top coins competing with Bitcoin. And another coin that you see up there, a coin that I talked about already today, is Litecoin. Now, Litecoin has Lightning Network transactions, which mean pretty much that your transactions can go through in less than like 5 to 10 seconds. Now, a lot of them go through in just a couple seconds. You can send a Litecoin, and as soon as you really check your receiving wallet, it should pretty much be there. The Lightning Network is very major for Bitcoin. If you've been investing in Bitcoin recently, you've seen a huge slug in the network, more or less. It's very slow. It's not very throttled because Bitcoin is more or less only going through less than 500,000 transactions a day, which if you average that out to how many seconds there are in a day, that is less than 5.5 transactions per second. So Bitcoin, it has a lot of room to grow, especially if you can process 1 million transactions in a second. You have payment processors such as Visa and stuff like that that can process up to 10,000, 20, 30,000 transactions a second. So for Bitcoin to ever more or less compete with these payment processors or as a payment method, it's going to definitely have to transact faster. And the Lightning Network being added on to Bitcoin's layer will definitely help the transactions and definitely help it to grow. Now, that is one reason why I think Bitcoin is going to grow, is because of the Lightning Network. So some things that are going to happen to Bitcoin that could potentially make it more valuable are that it's going to become a hybrid of all of these coins that I've just mentioned. It's going to stay Bitcoin. It's going to implement building contracts on its platform, as well as it's going to have a Lightning Network on it that's going to be able to process up to 1 million transactions instantly. To break down kind of what the Lightning Network is really quickly, it's not going to be an officially broadcast network on the blockchain. So say there were 3 people who wanted to make a transaction. The network is riding kind of on a side chain. So if I was person A and there was person B who was kind of an acquaintance to me and potentially person C, but I didn't know person C, the Lightning Network more or less is going to send money from me through kind of acquainted wallets, more or less, because I'm an acquaintance with wallet B and wallet B is an acquaintance with wallet C. So they are going to send my money, or I'm going to send my money to wallet B, and wallet B is going to send the money to wallet C, and they're going to do this through kind of like a credit payment IOU method through the wallets. And as I pay off kind of payments for wallet B and what they owe to wallet C, that payment for me is going to go through as payments paid off to wallet C, and that's kind of how they're going to get their money. And there's going to be kind of like a hash lock method that's going to kind of authenticate all this, and it's going to have kind of a trusted network between all of these off-chain wallets. And once my money gets from my wallet to C or D or through however many people that my acquainted wallet would go through, then it would eventually be broadcast onto the blockchain, and that would be the transaction. So this potentially is going to help Bitcoin grow massively, just in the fact that you're not going to have to process all these side transactions, all these 1 and 2 and 3. Potentially you might have to send through 50 and 60 other wallets to get to another person. It's all going to be done on the side chain, and it's not going to be done as an individual transaction broadcasting on the blockchain. So this is going to immensely speed Bitcoin up in the long run, and it's going to give it definitely a reason to compete with these big payment processors. As you've seen recently, Bitcoin has now been able to be accepted on Craigslist, as well as Yelp. The platform of Yelp or whatever has gone through, and they're asking people who they have on their platform, restaurants and businesses, to update their information for if they do accept Bitcoin, so they can add that to their site, because they want to inform consumers that some of these businesses potentially accept Bitcoin, since it is a new big payment method that a lot of people don't want to agree is a payment method. And you see all of these forums online, or you potentially come across maybe like a Facebook ad about Bitcoin. I know if you've ever looked for Bitcoin or thought to search for Bitcoin, obviously your cookies on your computer or your internet in general are going to start to give you a lot of Bitcoin advertisements. And all of that. And if you start to look at the comments, you're going to just see random people talking about Bitcoin's not really money. Bitcoin's just owned by a few people who are going to just sell it to everybody. It's a big scam. And that's kind of what Bitcoin is at the moment, because Bitcoin at the moment is just a lot of people getting into it because they think it is a long-term investment, which it is. But there's still very few people who own Bitcoin. As Bitcoin actually grows into the reason what it was made for, a decentralized payment plan and a way for people to transact without really knowing each other and without having banks and kind of everybody else interfere with the payments, then Bitcoin is going to be a lot more stable than what it is, and a lot more people are going to hold Bitcoin. If Bitcoin becomes a payment method in all of these countries that have all these unstable currencies that have potentially 3 and 4, there's countries that have up to 11 currencies that they use all in their country. And if you can get rid of all of those material currencies that, you have to carry around in your wallet, there's places that actually weigh their currency more or less because their currency is so valueless that it actually goes by the weight. And if you can get rid of all of that and trade it in for a Bitcoin, this digital currency that you can keep on a wallet, you could potentially keep your life savings, you can keep all of the world's profit on a little wallet, and it's not going to take up any room or anything like that. And as long as it can keep up with everything that the world is doing in terms of transaction fees and whatnot, and as long as it can stay stable in terms of an asset or of its value, it could potentially become a new standard of currency. And that's what a lot of people think Bitcoin is going to do in the long term. My second reason for Bitcoin is potentially going to be $100,000 by the year 2019 is the reason why it's got another part of its hybrid in it. And that second part of its hybrid that I mentioned is the Ethereum network. Now, a lot of people buy into Ethereum or are big fans of Ethereum at the moment because Ethereum gives you the opportunity to build other contracts on top of its platform. So you can build another contract on the ERC20 network, and that's what about 90% of these tokens out there are built on the ERC20 network, and that just gives everybody the opportunity to do their own thing. Now, Bitcoin is also going to be implementing this as well. It's going to be called the RootStock project, and it should be going through sometime in January, February of 2018. And what this is going to be, it's pretty much going to be a side layer to Bitcoin, and it's going to be a way for Bitcoin to have contracts built on it. And people are going to be doing the same thing that they're doing with Ethereum, only on Bitcoin. It's also going to give Bitcoin up to a 300 transaction per second boost. So that's definitely something bigger than what Bitcoin has now. That's about 60 times bigger than what Bitcoin is seeing at the moment. 300 transactions per second and the ability to build contracts on the network like it is Ethereum, so people can have the Bitcoin network, the blockchain network and whatnot, and they can just do what they want on that. So you have the Lightning Network, which is going to speed up the transaction speed, and it's going to accept a lot of transactions by doing them on the side chain and then finally transacting them to the blockchain. And you also have the RootStock, which is going to help speed up transactions as well. So these are two things that are going to help speed up Bitcoin's transactions. Lightning Network is definitely going to help transact Bitcoin in the long term. And the RootStock is definitely going to help Bitcoin grow because it's going to give Bitcoin the opportunity to have Ethereum-based kind of structures built on top of it. And you're going to have more people who, the only reason that they invest in Ethereum is because they want to invest in these Ethereum-based projects. You're going to have them investing in Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going to be the same thing. And as I've been talking about, and a lot of other people talk about, and the reason that you probably have gotten interested in cryptocurrencies is because of Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin is the currency that everybody is talking about now, it's probably going to be the currency that everybody is going to continue to talk about. And that's why I continue to say that I think Bitcoin's going to be the king. Bitcoin's going to be the currency that could potentially suck more of the market caps out of all these other currencies as they start to fail and implode because of lack of development and developers and everything that is going on with them, and just more scams that are breaking by the daily. All of those market caps are going to slowly fluctuate back into Bitcoin. And as this market grows, currently we're at less than $450 billion. So we're still under $1 trillion market. And I predicted that this was going to hit $300 billion at the most, I thought, to $350 billion by the end of 2018. or 2017, I mean, the year we're in now, to be $100 billion over what I thought it would be at the most is massive. And I think we'll probably end up hitting a $500 billion market cap by the end of this year. If we can grow pretty much like 20 times, 22 times in market cap size through 1 year, and there still hasn't been that many people really adopting Bitcoin or getting into it. I think the population of the world that really knows about Bitcoin, it was a while ago that I looked this up, but it was less than 5%. But now that Bitcoin has really grown in price and media is really covering it, I would say it's probably closer to 10%. But I also did see this report that said that there are kind of these waves of how people adopt things. After the first 5%, it's very slow. And then once it hits 10%, it massively shoots up to about 25-30% real fast after that, because that 10% really spreads faster than that less than 5% did before. And then eventually it'll spread into a 75 to 90% known thing in a very, very quick time. And that's why people think cryptocurrencies are going to boom so fast in 2018, because I think you're going to see Bitcoin hit $20,000 and $25,000 relatively soon. People think Bitcoin's going to hit $40,000 to $50,000 by summer of this year. And as you have Bitcoin growing 3 times in price of what it is at the moment, potentially, you're going to have people that are going to continue to get in this space. People who have still been sitting on the sidelines and they're watching. Continuously, I have people that are still asking me how to get into cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins, and more people that I've been telling since Bitcoin was $1,000 in that range. Now, I have been a fan of Bitcoin since Bitcoin was down in the $100, but I never felt comfortable enough to tell people to go out and spend their life savings and accumulate Bitcoin until it hit around $1,000. And that's really when I noticed the potential that cryptocurrencies had in general. And I started telling everybody I knew, I was like, go buy cryptocurrencies. And if you would have just bought Bitcoin and held it, you would have made 16 times your original investment if you listened to me to begin with. I also want to say that I am not an investment advisor, so don't listen to anything I say or take it as an investment advice. You always want to do your own research, and you want to do as much research as you possibly can. I'm pretty much just here to help you open up your mind to something else that could be happening, or some news that could be going on, or show you some ideas, anything. But you just don't want to take everything I'm saying. You want to take it with a grain of salt and really go out and do your own research, do your own due diligence. And that's for the most part what I've got for you guys today. I know my $100,000 Bitcoin thing was kind of short and condensed. I really didn't get into the Lightning Network or RootStock very much, but potentially maybe coming up I'll get into those more in depth, because they're definitely some very cool things to look into. If you haven't looked into either of those are definitely some cool things to look into. I'm getting my words all twisted up now, getting to the end of the video, getting all eager. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with this. I am moving some of my money into OmiseGo, and just the anticipation of it hitting a new Korean exchange, since we have seen so many coins boost on this Korean news. But do what you want. Remember, I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not telling you guys to do anything. I'm not suggesting you guys do anything. I'm just here saying what I'm doing. It's a nice day, and I hope you guys have a nice day and continue to make profits in this ever-growing space. And all I can suggest for you guys is, after you're done watching my video, go out and watch the next cryptocurrency video that you can come across. And the most recent videos more or less are better, but every video that you can find on cryptocurrency is going to help you. The more recent videos, the more recent news, and the more up to date you can stay on all the news that is happening in this ever-growing environment, you're going to be able to definitely pull the most profit out of your trades. If you guys want to take part in joining my Telegram channel, the link for that is going to be below. That's pretty much all I've got for you guys today. I'm going to leave you with that, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Enjoy.